chat box, and who are in YouTube can write it in the public chat box during the session. And today, for the first session, we have the immense privilege to have with us an eminent and experienced resource person, Dr. Vikas Deka sir from Dibrugarh University, who will deliver his presentation on the topic Methods of Qualitative Data Analysis. However, before we begin, I would like to give a brief introduction of our resource person for the session. Dr. Vikas Deka, formerly Assistant Professor, MDKG College, and now he is working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Sociology, Dibrugarh University, Dibrugarh, Assam. He taught sports sociology in the Center for Physical Education, Engineering and Society in Dibrugarh University Institute of Engineering Technology, teaching sociology in Directorate of Distance Education, Dibrugarh University, and also supervises many MPhil and PhD scholars. His specialization is in social gerontology, and areas of interest is social theory, social research methodology, tribe and ethnicity, social movement. He has published more than 17 papers in referred journals and in conference proceedings. He also participated in 8 workshops. He has presented and participated more than 25 papers in national and international seminars and acted as resource person in 11 seminars and workshops. So this is a brief introduction to our resource person for the day. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Josita, for your introduction. So,
sir, you may proceed now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, how many participants are there now total?
Sir, it's 44.
Okay, 44 participants. Okay. Is there any participants from outside the state? Is there any participant from outside the state?
Yes, sir. I guess there are some participants.
Okay. So, the topic that has been assigned to me is on the qualitative data analysis. So, actually, before focusing on the qualitative data analysis, actually, I would like to start with. I've actually divided my lecture because I have to speak for 2 hours, and I have divided my lecture in 3 parts actually. First part is on the arguments and the philosophy, the debates that is associated with the qualitative research. That is one. Second, the different methods or the techniques of data collection in qualitative research. And finally, in the last hour, I'll have my focus on how to analyze those qualitative data, because why I'm intending to present it in 3 parts, because before analyzing the qualitative data, what we must have an understanding on some important aspects of qualitative research, because without having understanding on those philosophical roots of qualitative research, the epistemological positions, the ontological issues, as well as the different methods and techniques for data collection in qualitative research, it will be very difficult to focus directly on the qualitative data analysis. So I have divided my presentation in 3 parts. So in the first part, or for the first half an hour, what I will try to do, I will have my focus on the philosophy and the foundations of the qualitative research, and then I will proceed to the next 2 parts. So, as we know, when we are saying, when somebody is asking a question, what is social research? In a very common sense, what we can say, that research is what? We are generating knowledge about the social world. What is social research? We are generating knowledge about the social reality or about the social world. How? through certain application of certain procedures or application of certain methods. So methods or methodology plays a very pivotal role in doing research, because there is a difference of research literature from that of the other forms of or from the other sources of knowledge. So the researchers, they have their engagement in production of knowledge by following certain systematic procedures, by following certain methods. But uh, uh, but when we are using the adjective qualitative to research, in opposition to the use of quantitative research, and you will find it is reflected in many methodology books, and at the first hand what you will feel that the qualitative research is totally different from that of the quantitative research, but this is not the case. Although it is there in the many methodology books, this does not, however, imply that what goes in the name of qualitative research is not concerned with quality or vice versa. When you go for a quantitative research, you must have your focus on some, you will come across some qualitative data, or you have to deal with the qualitative aspects, and this is vice versa. So what is important, what is relevance for us here is what is to appreciate the qualitative social research, and we have to appreciate the quantitative social research uses quantitative methods. This is only about the application of the methods, and this debate is not so simple, because it is very common to hear people talk as if all research fits into one of two categories. Either you'll go for a quantitative research, or you'll go for a qualitative research. Often it seems as if the dispute is about whether data should be in the form of numbers, that is quantitative, or in the form of words, that is qualitative. I would argue these debates are not always, or even most often, just about data form. Debates are much more complex, because they are about the direction of reasoning between the data and concept theories. Because when you go for research, you'll find that always there is a kind of logic. Inherent logic is there in generating knowledge or in producing knowledge. So when you're talking about those logic or direction of reasoning, always sometimes we have a movement from data to concepts, or sometimes from concept to data, or concept to or theories to data. So these debates are much more complex, and they are about the direction of reasoning between data and concept theories. And the models of social life, that what about your position, or what is your epistemological position, whether you are addressing the problem from positivist point of view, or from constructionist point of view, or from critical point of view, what is it is. So the purpose, again, it will depend on the purpose of social research and the kinds of questions that are important to ask. So when you go for a research work, whether you go for a quantitative research or you go for a qualitative research, that will depend on the subject matter that you have chosen for the study. It is not that you are comfortable with the quantitative research, or you are comfortable with the methods of quantitative data collection and quantitative data analysis, and that's why for all kind of research you can go for application of those methods, or it is similarly true in case of the qualitative research also. And that's why at the beginning, what I will try to focus on, I will try to make some kind of distinctions between the quantitative research as well as the qualitative research, between quantitative and qualitative research, on the basis of these models of social life, on the basis of model of research, on the basis of preferred data type, on the basis of preferred logic type, and the very primary goals of the research. So when you go for a quantitative research, you'll find your epistemological position is always positivist position. And I think that you, as a student of social sciences, you are very much familiar with the positivist positivist perspective or positivist approach, and as positivist, how you are going to look at the phenomena. So It is similar if you are maintaining a positive position, then model of social research is always like that of the natural sciences. And your preferred data type is numbers. Your preferred logic type is deductive, that is theory testing, or you're deducing some ideas, you're deducing some hypothesis from the existing theories, then you are testing it. And then your primary goal of research is what? Discovering social patterns, making predictions. And that's where in contradiction to this, or and if you give a look to the qualitative approach, then you'll find the model of social life is what? This is interpretative. The model of research is humanities. You are going to prefer more on the qualitative data, that is on words, on narratives. Your logic of inquiry is inductive, that is based on the grounded theory. And your very primary goal of research is what? Understanding what is distinctly human, means understanding social complexity. So qualitative research, you will find that it is based on paradigm of social constructionism and interpretation. Means when you are going to do if you want to go for a qualitative research, then you must have your understanding on social constructionism and interpretation, because the whole approach means qualitative approaches. Whatever the approaches we have in qualitative, or whatever the methods that we have in qualitative research, or the techniques that you are going to adopt for qualitative research, or if you are going to focus on the qualitative data analysis, then you must have your understanding on social constructionism and interpretation, because the whole qualitative research is based on these two paradigms, the social constructionism, or based on this paradigm, that is social constructionism and interpretation. So if we are going to compare the two approaches, then you will find, first, in terms of the logic of constructing theory, quantitative research is deductive. And for this purpose, it begins from theory, while qualitative research is inductive, and to construct theory, it begins from social reality. Means, as I told you that about the very logic of inquiry, because we have our engagement in generating knowledge about the social reality, but how you are going to generate those social reality, how you are going to generate those social reality, you have to follow certain logic. So one, you have the deductive logic, that you are deducing the ideas from the already established body of knowledge or already established theory, and from that you are making or formulating some hypothesis, and you are testing it with the help of your empirical evidences. By applying different statistical tools, techniques, you are testing it. That is one. But in qualitative research, we are not doing that. Our logic of inquiry is totally different from that of the deductive logic, which is known as the inductive one, because what we are doing, we are trying to, because it is based on inductive, and what we are doing there, we construct theory, and it begins from social reality. Means through your on the basis of the empirical evidences, you have to trace the meanings, and then you will be in a position to build theory. So this logic of inquiry, the theory building in social research, it is based on the logic of inquiry. And if you are maintaining a positivist position, if you want to go for a quantitative research, then then you are focusing on the deductive logic of inquiry. But in qualitative research, we are focusing on the inductive logic, and the inferences you are drawing from by interpreting those narratives or whatever the other, we'll discuss on that. We'll have a focus on that. We have different methods and techniques of data collection for qualitative research. When you are collecting those data, after data processing, how you are going to generate concepts from that, how you are going to build theory from that. So it will depend on many things. So that logic of inquiry is very important. What logic of inquiry you are going to apply in doing a qualitative research, that is the inductive logic. Then second, for verifications, in quantitative research is carried out after completing the task of theory construction. We used to start quantitative research after constructing a theory, or it is based on certain theories, while in qualitative research, what we are doing, the process of data collection, data analysis, and verification, everything goes simultaneously. So, and then next point, in quantitative research, the researcher defines the concept before initiating the research. Means you are already on the basis of already body of knowledge or existing body of knowledge, you are conceptualizing the things, you are developing certain concepts, and then you are initiating the research. But in qualitative research, what you are doing, the researcher uses flexible concepts and initiates the research with uh, orienting and sensitizing those concepts. Means uh, on the basis of the empirical evidences or the whatever you have collected from the field, in the form of narratives or in the form of case studies or in the form of conversation, whatever you are collecting, that is what you are going to, and from that you are going to conceptualize something. So it initiates the research with orienting and sensitizing the concepts. Then again, another important point of difference between the two approaches is that quantitative research uses inferential statistics or hypothesis testing, while in qualitative research, sample units represents a class or group of social phenomena. Means, as I have told you, that when you go for the quantitative research, what you will do, your responsibility, since you are deducing hypothesis from the already existing body of knowledge or already established theory. So with the help of your empirical evidences, what you have gathered from the field, you have to test those hypotheses. But in case of qualitative research, sample units represents a class or group of social phenomena. You are not going to test the hypothesis, but you are going to formulate some hypothesis on the basis of those empirical evidences. You are not in a position to test it, you are in a position to formulate it only. So, if you give a close look to the very background or the foundation of qualitative research, then you'll find that, as I told you, that qualitative research is a tradition in social science, which basically depends on watching people in their territory, means and interacting with their own terms in their own language. So the qualitative research tradition owes a great deal to the anthropological tradition, and it includes the contribution of, you may be familiar with Franz Boas, a German-born American anthropologist and a pioneer of modern anthropology, and he's also known as the father of American anthropologists. His work was associated with the movement, historical particularism, and cultural relativism. He was born in 1858 and died in 1842. If you go for the works of Franz Boas, then you'll find that how they have used those for the first time, the qualitative approaches or qualitative methods to generate knowledge about the social reality, or they are producing knowledge about the society. Then you are familiar with one other anthropologist or ethnographer, that is Belino Malinowski, that ethnography on Provian Islanders, you may be familiar with that book, described the complex institution of coloring. You must know about that. So coined the term participant observation first. So as we are talking about the participant observation in qualitative, participant observation as an important method of data collection in qualitative research, who has introduced it for the first time? Belino Malinowski. So Franz Boas, Belino Malinowski, Redcliffe Brown, then Ivan Pisarz. If you go through the works of those scholars, then you will get some kind of hints, or you will have some kind of understanding on how they have done ethnographic studies, how they have done fieldwork in a very natural setting by focusing on the meanings assigned by the subjects to uh, know the social reality. So we must have we must study those texts, those literature that has been contributed or put forward by these renowned anthropologists or ethnographers. So this group of people you must know. Then again, credit also goes to the sociological tradition. You must be familiar with the sociological tradition of Chicago School. In the 1930s, where Robert E. Park, you are familiar with Robert E. Park, advises students to observe minutely the diversity, heterogeneity, and conflict-ridden complexities of the city Chicago, thereby training them on the basis of participant observation. So when we are saying participant observe, or when we are saying qualitative research, what are the methods we are going to apply for data collection in qualitative research, and how we'll go for data analysis in qualitative research? To have focus on those things, you must have your in-depth reading of the text prepared or put forwarded by or written by these scholars. And you must have your understanding on the sociological tradition of Chicago School too, where Robert E. Park encourages students to go for some kind of research in a very complex heterogeneous society. And you'll be happy to know that when the society is plural, the complexities are there. You cannot go for making some kind of generalizations on the basis of the findings, because the finding may be true in one case, but it may not be equally applicable in case of the other category or other group. So if the group is heterogeneous, if the society is complex, then you have to go for the qualitative kind of research. And that is what uh, Robert E. Park advises students, and he provided some kind of training to his students how to go for the participatory kind of research. So qualitative research is thus seen to be naturalistic, means you have to study when you will visit the field, or when you are going to study a community, you have to study the people in a very naturalistic. So this is naturalistic, this is ethnographic, and this is participatory in approach. And you have to study the things not from your perspective. What you have to do, you have to look at the things from the perspective of the subjects. So when you are going to put certain questions, or you want to know something, you should always avoid the directive type of questions or directive type of interview, that you are giving already a kind of direction to the respondents, and by following the direction, the respondents are giving the answer. So you have to study the people in a very natural setting, So this is naturalistic, this is ethnographic, and participatory in approach. Then again, qualitative research is of special relevance to the study of social relations in the plural world. As I have told you, that when the society is heterogeneous, plural, it is better to go for the qualitative research. Then social researchers are increasingly coming, and you know that in today's world, social researchers are increasingly coming face to face with the context and perspectives that are so new to new to them, that the traditional deductive methodology is not effective for their study. When you are in a position to go for a deductive kind of research, or you can go for a quantitative kind of research, because when you are in a position to deduce something from the body of knowledge, or the other scholars, they have their engagement and they're producing a huge body of knowledge on that field. So what you will do, you will go through the literature that will help you. You will go through the theoretical debates, theories that will help you to deduce something, that will help you to develop some speculations, hypotheses, and you can do the research. But in today's world, what is happening? Many new problems have come up. The researchers have to encounter new problems, new issues, new challenges, and many things are totally new. You may not get the opportunity to have some kind of literature review. There may not in that particular field, there may not be any strong theoretical base, or or the theoretical foundation is not so strong. So in that circumstances, or in that situation, you are not in a position to deduce any idea, or you are not in a position to go for any kind of speculation of hypothesis formulation. So what you can do there you have to focus only on the qualitative approach, because you will go to the field, you will interact with the people, and then you are going to develop some speculations or hypotheses. So in many cases, the traditional deductive methodology is not suitable, So, or it is not effective. So what you have to do to understand the new and ever-changing realities, it is important to study the subjective meanings of members in a given setting and their everyday experiences and uh, practice. Means if say if you are going to do a research on a particular group or in a particular community, but when you are going to do the research, definitely there may be data of literature. Nobody has conducted a study on that particular theme or particular object or on that community, or theoretically that field is not so strong. You are not in a position to formulate any kind of hypothesis for doing research. Then what you have to do, you have to what you will do, what is the alternative for you? In that situation, you go for the qualitative research, or you can go for the qualitative research approach, because you will get the opportunity to participate with the people. And once you are participating, and by interpreting those data, by analyzing those data, after processing those data, what you can do, you can draw some inferences, you can draw some concepts, and when you are going to make the relationship between two concepts in a very logical way, you can formulate some hypothesis, or you can go for some development of certain theories. So what we call the grounded theory. So I would like to suggest one book here by S. Cohen in 1996. The title of the book was Cosmopolis, the Hidden Agenda of Modernity. In that book, he identifies four tendencies as a way forward for philosophy and science in general, and thus for social science research as well. So what he is saying, he is talking about four important points why we should go for qualitative research, or where qualitative research is important, or say as a researcher when you can take the decision to go for a qualitative research. So he's saying that return to the oral. First point, what he has highlighted, the return to the oral means that is carrying out research through the use of language, narratives, and communication. So always on the basis of quantitative facts, you cannot do a research. What you can do at many times, you have to go for carrying out the research through use of language, narratives, and communication. So you'll find that then in the when you I'll go for the data analysis part, you'll find there is reference of conversational analysis, there is reference of discourse analysis, there is reference of narrative analysis. So what does this things means? Because all these consist of language. So carrying out research through the use of language, narratives, and communication. That must be given priority when you will go for research. What S. Tolmin he stated in his book. Then he is also talking about return to particular, means and it indicates the focus on the inductive logic, where that is when he's saying return to particular, that is to concentrate on specific concrete problems which arise in specific situations rather than concentrating on abstract universal questions. So what he's talking about, he's talking about return to particular. Means when you are doing a research on a particular area, on a particular problem, on a particular group of people, then what that will help to draw some inferences or conclusion, or that will help to develop certain concepts. So when he's saying return to particular, he's talking about to concentrate on specific concrete problems which arise in specific situations rather than constructing on abstract or universal questions. But when you see, when you look at the positivist paradigm, or when you have a focus on the quantitative research, then you'll find that always we are trying to make the things, we are trying to generalize the findings, how that is applicable in case of the other communities, or how it is applicable for the whole humankind. We are focusing on that. We are always talking about generalization. We are always talking about universalization because what the positivist paradigm they feel, they are saying that uh, certain laws are there which is governed the natural world. Similarly, the social world is also governed by certain laws. So we have to uncover those social laws. That is the idea they have. And if you are going to uncover the social laws, if a person is committing crime, why is committing crime? If you have that kind of, if you are in a position to identify that law, then that law must be applicable to all other societies. So why people are committing crime? Regarding that, so many theories we have, so many explanations we have. So to what extent those theories uh, has its universal applicability? So positivist thinkers are always trying to, or the positivist paradigm, or when you go for a quantitative kind of research, always we are trying to generalize the thing. So we are always talking about universal validity. But here, since the focus on the inductive reasoning, the focus is on the system of uh, knowledge in a local context, practices and experiences in a very local context. So he's talking about return to local, and it indicates that we have to emphasize on qualitative research in many problems. So next he's talking about return to timely, that is locating problems and identifying solution in their historical context and discussing and explaining them accordingly. So means if you are doing a research on a particular problem, then in what context that problem has emerged, what about its context, that must have its focus, because context wise the problems may be different. And that's why in a plural society, when you go for a research, or you are doing a research on a particular class, you are doing a research on a particular group, a particular caste, or on a particular gender, then the findings of that study may not be applicable in case of the other class or in case of the other group of population. So that universal validation or universal applicability or generalization is always impossible. So because the problems emerge in different contexts and in different historical contexts, in different social contexts, so keeping in view that context, keeping in view that situation, actually we have to study the problems. So and that's why he's talking about return to timely, means in what context, in what situations, and at what time that problem has emerged. Because say if say for example, we are considering something as rational today, but that was considered as irrational in the traditional society. uh, uh, Something that is accepted as very normal or norms for the society, or acceptable behavior for a society, that has been rejected today as prejudice. So if you want to study a problem or a situation or a norm, then what you will do, you have to study that norm, that situation in that particular social context. So that contextualization of the thing is very important, and that's why he's talking about return to timely. So qualitative research methodology subscribes to all the, and you'll find when this fellow, in this book, told me when he's talking about return to the oral, he's talking about return to the particular. When he's talking about return to the local or return to the timely, then what he's saying that uh, when uh, when he's talking about these 4 points, and when you go for a qualitative research, you will find all these 4 approaches in a qualitative research. And that's why when we're talking about the qualitative research, you'll find it is rooted in the understanding life experiences as expressed and articulated by the people themselves. Because he's saying that in a very naturalistic in a way you have to deal with the problems when you go for a qualitative kind of research work. So it is rooted in the quality research is rooted in understanding life experiences as expressed and articulated by the people themselves. From the subject's point of view, you are going to do the research. So you have to avoid the directive type of questions. You are not going to give directions to the people. You are not going to influence the people. In a very natural setting, what people want to reflect, what they mean to something that you have to uh, explore, or that you have to observe in a very natural setting. And that's why life experiences as expressed and articulated by the people themselves in a very natural setting, that you have to must even focus on. Then quality research aims at understanding the issues at hand without resorting to cosmic generalization. It accounts for the socio-historical context of behavior. As I told you, that you are not going to focus on the cosmic generalization, you are focusing only on the socio-historical context of the behavior. And it also takes into account the reflexivity of the researchers, such that the whole research endeavor becomes a continuous process of constructing various constructing versions of social reality. Means the focus is on not exploration, because of not collection. Focus is on exploration, means how we are going to generate it, because we sometimes we are using the term data collection and data generation. When we are saying data collection, you are maintaining a positivist position. Means what? Data collection means what? Means data is already there, and by applying certain methods, you are going to explore it, or you are going to collect it. So that is the positivist language. But when you are saying data generation, this is the constructionist position. You are maintaining a constructionist position because, or and since you know that quality research is working under that constructionist paradigm. So why? Because we are generating data what from the perspective of the subjects, what the subjects have stated, what the respondents have stated, that you have to explore. Then you are trying to interpret it. You are trying to explore the meaning behind those behavior, actions, or interactions. So what you are doing, you are constructing knowledge, you are producing knowledge. Knowledge is not there. By applying certain methods, what you are doing, by interacting with the subjects, you are producing knowledge about something. You are constructing knowledge, how people have constructed it, how that has been constructed, how that has been produced. So it also takes into account the reflexivity of the researcher, such that the work, the whole research endeavor becomes a continuous process of constructing versions of social reality. So one I would like to focus on one book, that is An Introduction to Qualitative Research by Ulrich Flick, that was written in 1998, and the essential elements of quality research. He's advocating about some essential elements of quality research, and he's saying that appropriateness of methods and theories. When we're talking about quality research, it does not speaking about one single method. It always talking about methodical pluralism, because by applying different methods, only you can collect the data, or you can generate knowledge about the social reality. So in qualitative research methods are designed to be so open that they do justice to the complexity of the subject under study. So this is what this is designed to be so open, means flexibility is there, it is open in nature, so that we can do justice with the complexity of the subjects under study. Because when in a very plural context, when there is complexity in the problem, always you are focusing on the qualitative kind of research. So which impact on the determining factor for choosing a method, and not the other way round. So objects are studied in their complexities in day-to-day situations, and not reduced to single variables. So what happens in when we go for a quantitative kind of research, what we generally do, we are focusing on, say, we are trying to establish the relationship between certain variables. So this is happening due to these forces. Say, for example, family is disintegrating due to the influence of urbanization. So that variable has its influence on the family. Industrialization, it has an influence on the family. Family is disintegrating because people are migrating. So migration has an influence on them. So we are always focusing on certain variables at a very beginning. and we are formulating hypothesis on the by establishing the relationship between the variables, then we are testing it. But in qualitative research, we are not doing that actually. What we are doing, we are exploring all the possible aspects. You are not restricted your study to 2 or 3 variables. If you are doing a study, say for example, when if you are going to do a research on say elderly care, how elderly people are given care by their family members. So several variables may work. Before doing the research, you are not stick yourself to to study the relationship between elderly care and some of the variables. You are very open-minded, you have your flexibility, and you are going to explore all the probable variables that may have its influence on the elderly care issues. So exceptional situations and persons are frequently studied in quality research. The nature of the problem at the hand suggests the method to be used for studying it. So when you are going to take a decision for conducting a quality research, this is not that you are comfortable with those things. You are comfortable with the qualitative data collection methods and qualitative data analysis techniques. What is how you are going to select when you are going to take a decision for quality research? You can take the decision only when your subject matter allows you to do so. Because you will when you are going to select a research topic, you have to be guided by some kind of methodological thinking. You must have an understanding on those logics. You must have an understanding on those philosophical positions. You must have an understanding those epistemological and ontological positions. Then you must have an understanding on the model of social analysis, whether you are maintaining a positivist position, interpretivist position, or critical position. So you must have an understanding on those things, and then only you can take a decision that yes, my subject matter is fit for qualitative treatment, or my study is fit for the quantitative treatment, or I can go for a mixed methodology or triangulation, whatever it is. So in other words, so I can say problems select the method, not vice versa. Depending on the problems, you have to select the methods, not that you are thinking about the methods that I will go for quantitative research, then you are selecting a research topic. No, first you select the research topic, then you decide. So problem select the method. This is not vice versa. So so what I will now I'll focus on some say I would like to say an example here. Say using the example of say for example, say a researcher studying mental illness may adopt a interviewing patients, their families, and professionals responsible for their treatments. He may also elicit narratives from the subjects or undertake case studies of an institution treating the mentally ill, where patients, their families, and professionals are deserved within an institutional setting. So there is a perspective of the participants and their diversity. So what you can do, quality research is directed to uncovering the diverse meaning and implications of the issues to the various individuals affected by it or involved within it. Means, say when you are going to do a research on on an ill person, so who is treating them, who is the treating institution, and what about the experiences of the ill person? From all angles you are going to address the things. You are not focusing by maintaining one direction on this. So using the example of mental illness, some of the questions that may be addressed, such as what is the subjective meaning of the illness for the patient, and what is it for his or her relatives? That is one. Then how do the various people involved deal with the illness in their actual lives. Then what has led to the outbreak of illness in the patient's life and what has made it a chronic problem? How have various institutions handled the illness and what has been the impact on their patients? So as these questions demonstrate, qualitative research accounts for the diverse perspective of patient, their families and professionals. So you cannot restrict with one or two variables or one with only for, or you are not going to deal with the problem from one perspective only. So the problem that you are going to address may have different participants. So from all the participants, from all the perspectives, from all the parties, you have to look at the things. Then you will get, you will be in a position to identify those variables, and from by an interact after establishing relationship with those variables, you can develop concepts and you can build theory later. So reflexivity of research is always important. So again, you may be familiar with Thomas Kuhn, as you know, that his book in The Structure of Scientific Revolution, that was written in 1970. Then he wins 1950, The Idea of Social Science and its Relation. Then M. Volve, The Personal Knowledge Towards a Post-Critical Philosophy. In those books, what they are doing actually, they are put forwarding a very critical argument. And they have argued that for making progress in the social sciences, it is important to dwell on the ways of looking at the research data, then to discover new research techniques. Instead of discovering new research techniques, what they're saying, we must have a focus on the research data. In other words, it is more important to focus on conceptual analysis of data on the empirical research. So this argument has paved the way for the qualitative research actually. Instead of, because the positivist paradigm, what they're thinking, they're saying that if you can develop some sophisticated methods to uncover the laws which is govern the natural world or social world, then we can come closer to the reality, because reality is independently existing. And as a researcher, what you are going to do, you are going to explore that reality. But the natural sciences are much more advanced. They have sophisticated methods, techniques, and tools, and they can go closer to the natural reality. But the social sciences, they have their recent origin, and they fail to develop sophisticated method, techniques, and tools. And by applying those method, techniques, and tools, they cannot understand the social reality of it. They cannot go closer to the reality. So the positivist thinkers, what they're saying, we have to develop those methods. We have to develop certain methods, sophisticated methods, so like that of the natural sciences, so that we can go closer to the social reality or understanding the social reality. But the arguments that have been put forward by these scholars through their writings, they are saying that instead of focusing on discovering new research techniques, we have to change the ways of looking at research data. Means we have to change the perspective, how to look at the research data. So what they're saying, in other words, it is more important to focus on conceptual analysis of data than on empirical research. So let us see the implications of accepting this position, because a group of scholars, they have accepted this their position, and you'll find interestingly, their position has a quite radical departure from the ideas held by the positivist paradigm. In fact, you can see a clear salience to the positivist social science posed by a new paradigm. It is generally known as interpretative social science. As you know, against positivism, there is interpretative social science that includes new schools of thought in sociology, labeled as symbolic interactionism, ethnomethodology, and phenomenological sociology. So, qualitative research, when you go for a qualitative research, you must have an understanding on these theoretical paradigms, on symbolic interactionism, on ethnomethodology, on phenomenology. You must have your understanding on this. So these theories hold that the social world is not independent of social meaning. Means whatever the understanding that we have on society, or what we consider as reality, that has been humanly constructed. It is the outcome of human interaction and the meaning that have been assigned by the people. So we can look at the depressor from the positivist paradigm in certain areas. First, the first area of depressor refers to the positivist theory of social fact as things. But when you go to the post-positivist or constructionist or interpretivist, then you'll find the rethinking or philosophical thinking of interpretive sociology treats social fact as constructions. Whatever the facts that we have that has been constructed, that has been created, that is the outcome of human interaction, people have assigned meaning to that. So this means that there is always a form of reference within which fact exists, and there is nothing like an pure science or pure knowledge or pure experience. So the theoretical assumptions as basis of argument are never neutral, and therefore there is always some deeper interpretation involved behind stating fact. So the second area of departure from the positivist paradigm is that about the status of social science. The positivists, they are thinking that social science is similar with that kind of social science should be similar that kind of the natural sciences, because they're following the similar kind of methodology in understanding the social reality. But there's a depressor of the interpretivist or constructionist from that, and they're saying that we have to focus on the subjective methods for understanding the social reality. So when we're saying subjective, what the actors, what the respondents, what your subjects assign meaning to a particular action, a particular situation, that we have to interpret, that we have to analyze. So approach is totally different. Then the third area of depressor is related to the methods of collecting data. As you know, the positivists believe in the idea of observation as the main method of data collection. Applying own meaning to the other's action means the researcher is destroying the facts and in some ways creating new facts that represent his or her meaning system. So the new procedure of research requires the researcher to participate in the subject activities. So participation, they can construct the meaning of action. So even when you go to those traditions, or when you go to symbolic interactionism, or when you study phenomenology, when you study ethnomethodology, you'll find some common debates, because they are rejecting the position of the conventional sociologist and the positivist paradigm. They're saying that to understand the social reality, what you have to do, you have to think about some alternative methods. You have to think of develop some subjective methods to know the social reality. So when they're saying subjective methods, they are always talking about the participatory kind of work. And that's why in phenomenology, when you will find that they're talking about the participations in the world of everyday life of the people. And by participating in the world of everyday life of the people, only you can understand the reality, means what meaning the people have assigned. So just by observation, you may not be in a position or to know the facts. But when you are going to participate, when you go for participatory kind of research, or you go for participant observation, when you go for a kind of ethnographic work, when you will do the research phenomenological point of view, or from ethnomethodology, what you will do, you will get the opportunity to take part in the world of everyday life of the people. In day-to-day life, how people are acting, how people are reacting. And once you are participating, how by observing their behavior, their gestures, their poses, their conversations, by interpreting those things, you can understand the reality to some extent. Because what we observe, that is always, that may not be always true. By interpreting the meaning only, because say for example, when you will enter into a field, you are asking the people that yes, do you have any problems, or do you have any uh, problem regarding this? So when you are putting these questions, respondents will be mechanically say yes or no. And at many times, even if you are going to ask a very corrupt person, Do you support corruption? He will say no. So he is saying no, or you are observing his behavior. On the basis of that, you cannot come to a conclusion. But when you are going to participate in his world of everyday life, from morning till night, what he is doing in a very natural setting, after passing a longer time, what you can do, you can observe his behavior, and you can interact with him. You may have some kind of conversation with him, and automatically after coding and decoding of those conversations, those narratives, you can come to a conclusion, or you can understand the reality. So what is observable, that may not be the reality. The reality may be something hidden. So that is possible only through, you can explore those things through qualitative research only. So these are some of the ideas that we have regarding the qualitative research. So what I'm saying here is that so in a nutshell, I would like to focus on some points here. When you are going to do a research, you have to, whether you are going to do a qualitative research or quantitative research, that will depend on the subject matter that you have chosen. So if your subject matter allows you to go for a quantitative research, or it allows you to go for a qualitative research, then only you can adopt those methods of data collection or those methods of data analysis. So what you can do, and then again, you must have your clear understanding on the logic of inquiry, because we are producing knowledge, we are generating knowledge about the social world, but ways are different, the logics are different. Sometimes you are following the deductive logic by deducing ideas from the already established theory, then you are formulating hypothesis, you are going to test it. So we have, in that kind of research, focus is more on the quantitative research or quantitative methods of data collection, and you can apply those statistical tools for analyzing the data. And if your study, and if you are going to apply, if your subject matter is fit for an inductive logic, or say you are not in a position to draw inferences from the already established theory, or you are not in a position to formulate any workable hypothesis for your research, then what you can do, you can proceed with the inductive logic. And if you have followed the inductive logic, then focus will be more on the qualitative methods of data collection, and accordingly you have to go for qualitative data analysis. And similarly, again, you have to think about those perspectives. So what about your model of analyzing social life? If you have a positivist position, then focus is on quantitative, the logic is deductive, and your goal is something different. You are going to generalize the data. You will focus on whether it is universally valid or not. Then again, if you are going to focus on the qualitative research, then your paradigm, that is the model of analysis, is always the constructionist or the interpretivist, and there you are not going to generalize the things. You are going to study the things in particular in a context, in a given historical or social context, in a cultural context. Then you are drawing some inferences, and you are going to develop certain concepts, because by applying this